Good day! Today, we will be tackling on case study number 2, Gender and Development, with Isabella Baker's article entitled Social Reproduction in the Constitution of a Gendered Political Economy. The article shows some current feminist political economy scholarship on social reproduction based on different entry points for analysis. Its particular emphasis is on the renaissance of the concept of social reproduction. But first, it is important to know what social reproduction is. The popular definitions of social reproduction relate to three aspects. First, biological reproduction and the conditions and social constructions of motherhood. Second, reproduction of the labor force. And third, reproduction and provisioning of caring needs that may be privatized or socialized. In the 1970s and 80s, the discussion of social reproduction was focused on women's domestic labor. Therefore, social reproduction was reintroduced to the core of the analyzing the capitalist system of accumulation and how the surplus of an economy is distributed. Now, with this in mind, it is important that we are able to answer these questions to have a better understanding and appreciation on the set of lectures for this case study. First, how does capitalism as a system of accumulation and power over both life forces and forms work? Second, what are the global macroeconomic changes and their implications for the funding of social reproduction? And third, what are the factors that help us aid in understanding the relationship between governance, governmentality, and social reproduction? Now that we are now aware of the terms that we need to know, let us now start on the first out of 4 of these lecture series. We will focus on the challenges of a historical approach and its links between capitalism, market society, and the structures of everyday life. Historicized material life and social reproduction. French historian Fernand Braudel, Economic History, with his concern with the material conditions of the human existence, formed the structures of everyday life. It is a comprehensive survey composed of geography, diseases, famines, and material pressures. These human practices are directly linked to social reproduction. In Braudel's succeeding works, everyday life is linked to market society and world capitalism. In this analysis, social reproduction is not confined to the household, but forms the foundation of Braudel's hierarchical model of the economy consisting of capitalism, market economy, and material life. Capitalism for him is not the most recent stage in a historical sequence, but is potentially visible since the dawn of history. For Braudel, unlike Marxism, capitalism does not replace but indeed requires the lower levels of economic activity. Material life for him is the life that man, throughout the course of his previous history, has made a part of his very being. It consists of everyday practices that add up and form the historical structures that, in turn, act back on us and define our actions. On the other hand, works of Marx and Engels and Gramsci introduced contemporary trends in social reproduction: primitive accumulation, new enclosures, and social reproduction. Primitive accumulation, as Marx said, is the expropriation of public or common lands. Expropriation means the action by the state or an authority of taking property from its owner for public use or benefit. This created the conditions for a workforce dependent upon the sale of their labor power in return for a wage, that is, a capitalist system of accumulation. In addition, power production and social reproduction by Baker and Hill explored the reprivatization of social reproduction. With this, Authors argue for a new epistemology of globalization that questions the invisibility of social reproduction in an analysis.
guys, my name is Rixie, and we now move on to the relationship between governance frames, governmentality, and social reproduction. Before we start, let us define the term governance first. Governance refers to all of processes of governing, whether undertaken by a government, market, or network, whether over a family, tribe, formal or informal organization, or territory, and whether through the laws, norms, power, or language. The next one is governmentality. The way governments try to produce the citizen best suited to fulfill those government's policies, to organize practices, mentalities, rationalities, and techniques through which subjects are governed. Governmentality may also be understood as the art of governing. The third one is the social reproduction. It is a concept originally proposed by Karl Marx in Das Kapital and is a variety of his broader idea of reproduction. According to sociologist Christopher B. Dope, it refers to the emphasis on the structures and activities that transmit social inequality from one generation to the next. According to V. Spike Peterson, reproductive economy is essential for understanding the changes associated with globalization. There are two aspects of globalization. First is the growth of financial transactions deriving from the conventional production of goods and services. Second is the increasing series of an economy of science, or in other words, that is the virtual realities associated with cyberspace in today's information society and the exchange of science rather than goods. If we look at it in a historical materialist perspective, considering money and science are commodities governed by laws and contract and constitutionally underwritten by states, in that sense, they are real and not virtual. The extent of power and finance is disconnected from production. Moreover, Brody notes that the domestic sphere assigned women the responsibilities of care or patriarchy privileged men's position in an economic and political life, resulting to an idealized gender order. The development of the welfare state in the industrialized countries rested in a specific model of the workplace, home, and family that compromised a social wish supported by private capital and the state. By the 1980s, social citizenship was giving way to market citizenship as the role of both individuals and governments were being redefined at the micro, macro, and meso levels of society. At the macro level, it sought to identify how the shift in gender orders is being increasingly demarcated by international trade and investment agreements and restrictive fiscal policies which removed the automatic stabilizers of the Keynesian era. As well as tending to reinforce fiscal austerity measures that have adversely affected health and education budgets in many countries, particularly those in sub-Saharan Africa and Latin America. On the other hand, at the meso level, work has focused on how labor markets have been reconstituted, feminized, and formalized, with the resulting reconstitution of the family and of the sites and nature of the provisioning of subsistence. And as to micro level, a great deal more research has focused on its restructuring and how this involves at the most basic level, the reconstitution of the self and the subject or citizen at the deepest level. This tension is particularly apparent with respect to gender and social reproduction. Women are called upon to become genderless workers and rational economic actors, yet at the same time, the social supports for reproductive and caring work are being weakened and privatized.
So now, we'll be talking about governmentality and its relation to social reproduction. So first, what is governmentality? So, it is a term coined by the philosopher Michael Foucault and refers to the way in which the state exercises control over or governs the body of its populace. Governmentality also refers to the way in which people are taught to govern themselves, shifting power from a certain authority, like a state or institution, and dispersing it among a population. Now, much of the literature focusing on governmentality, drawing on Foucault's legacy, probes beyond frameworks of governance to ask what the constitutive elements of governance are at the individual or micro level. In this vein, Wendy Brown cautions us not to simply reduce neoliberalism to a bundle of economic policies with inadvertent political and social consequences. The neoliberal turn as a form of governmentality has been linked to key aspects of social reproduction by Brody, who isolates the following as significant dynamics of this process. 1. The simultaneous erosion and intensification of gender, which was first noted by Haraway, and the second, which is the simultaneous demands for autonomization and responsibilization, by which she is referring to the progressive detachment of the individuals from social networks and supports, while at the same time responsibility for systemic problems is being downloaded onto the individual. The former tension refers to, on one hand, gender being virtually erased from the policy making and being delegitimized as the basis for claims, leading to the view that women's reproductive labor is, at best, an externality. On the other hand, the gaps in social provisioning resulting from the neoliberal rationalization have increased demands on the transnational flows of domestic and service workers, who are largely women. Isabel Barker has explored this transnational dimension of governmentality in the contents of the neoliberal subject produced in the arena of elder care in the USA, and the ways in which this is related to the production of migrant care workers in the Philippines. Barker argues that in the USA, market rationality has articulated the family as the key site for meeting the needs of elder care. In the supply-side country, the Filipino state has actively promoted overseas migration of care workers by way of techniques of neoliberal governmentality, and sought to define these workers as exemplary citizens who make a critical contribution to the national economy. Indeed, remittances are one of the Philippines' largest sources of foreign currency, officially totaling some $10 billion in 2005, with further vast sums transferred unofficially. It is therefore not surprising that the Filipino state cultivates a segment of the population who are able and willing to go abroad while fostering continued connection to their country of origin. Whereas the IMF and the World Bank proclaim remittances as a means to improve third world balance of payment problems, the social and material realities uncovered by feminist researchers suggest something rather different. Social reproduction of the affluent is prioritized over those of unprotected workers, particularly from the global south. More comparative research is needed to make sense of the broader and gendered impacts of migration and remittances, since they relate to deeper structures of social reproduction in both sending and receiving countries. A final contribution to questions of governance and social reproduction that is only briefly explored are writings focusing on everyday space and care or social reproduction. Inquiries into the spatiality of social reproduction can focus on the production of home spaces, environmental degradation, and its unequal spatial toll on children's bodies, and the relationship between society, the state, and space. By focusing on the integrated nature of people's daily lives, the everyday standpoint can help us in studying up or researching the powerful institutions that regulate human reproduction.
Created using Powtoon.